So glad to see you. Welcome to Danya. I'm Janice Nall. I know most of you folks. It's actually really good to see some colleagues from CDC, so thank you for coming. We have a really great program scheduled for you this afternoon. This is actually the first in a series we're launching. If those of you who remember, back at CDC, we had a very active training seminar, in-depth training program on social media, and we've missed it. It's one of the ways we trained ourselves and actually got a lot of collaboration across the agency, and we've missed that. So we decided that we would do that here, and this is the first segment of that series. And so today we're talking about gamification. Next month, May 15th, we have something on accessible social media with Jenny Smith and a panel of experts. And soon after that, we have something coming on wearable tech and a few other fun topics, some Google Glass demonstrations, etc. So welcome aboard, and please make yourself comfortable. There's food, refreshments. I'm not going to tell you where the bathrooms are, but folks in the back will tell you if you have the urgent needs. And we are extremely glad to have Tara Roehl with us today. We've had a lot of fun today already. We've become fast friends, really way too fast probably. But gamification is certainly a very hot topic right now, and a lot of us have dabbled in it. Some of us have actually published, as Dan has his own board game published now. And I know CDC, the Solve the Outbreak game. But I think we're all struggling to find ways of getting into the gamification area without necessarily a huge investment in dollars and time. And I think Tara's got some really creative, innovative ways of approaching that, and we are thrilled to have her here today. Tara's a nationally certified speech-language pathologist, and she focuses on social, pragmatic, and executive functioning needs of students. And I have learned a lot today. I didn't even know that kids had executive function issues. And it really is fascinating. So I do hope you'll talk about the types of work that you do more there. And this is with kids with ADHD, high-functioning autism, Asperger's, and other related disorders. And today she's going to be sharing her expertise on using tablets and therapy interventions, the relationship between social learning and video games, and implementing gaming strategy for wide-ranging successful results. Tara works globally using gamification techniques, and we were talking over lunch. She does her own form of teletherapy, working with her students via WebEx and Skype. So she's going to talk to us about that a little bit. And she recently presented at the American Speech Language Hearing Association on the use of iPad apps and games in practical therapy. And we're very pleased to have you today. And Tara, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you. Okay, good. And it's an area that I've worked on, kind of fell into, thanks to my students, my clients. They kind of brought it to me. As she said, I work with kids with high-functioning autism, formerly known as Asperger's, ADHD, ADD, OCD, reactive attachment disorder. I've got about all the acronyms on my caseload that there are. And my biggest thing was trying to find a way to meet these kids where they were, because they'd been from therapist to therapist to therapist to therapist, and they were burnout, and they were sick of people telling them what was wrong with them and what they needed to work on and what they were falling short on. So that's kind of how I fell into this area. But on today's agenda, I'm going to talk a little bit about today's culture just from the tech world, from being elbow deep from my own toddler up to my middle school and high school students that I have on my caseload. So I have a really big range on my caseload. I'm going to talk about the big dilemma that we run into in the field, especially with the apps that we're handed right now that we're getting for our iPads to meet the needs of our students and to educate our students. A little bit on kind of the gamification, and then my 4-step process and how I take gamification. And I go at it from two directions. I take a game and I break it down into practical therapy. And I'm starting to find ways that I can take my practical therapy and I could build it up into a game. So I'm seeing both ways that people can kind of take today's talk. And then examples of kind of what I've done in therapy. So a lot of just kind of pictures and kind of practical hands-on of how I've made it work for me. Today's culture. Cell phones are on a rise even in the elementary. I have elementary students who have nicer cell phones than I do. They have, starting in 3rd grade, we've already got almost a quarter of our students who have cell phones of their own. And once you get to middle school, it really is. Everyone has one, Mom, except me. They really do. It's over 80% right now of it. This is a research study done out of Bridgewater. So, I mean, our kids are coming already with tech in their hands. So we've got to take that into consideration when we want to wow a client or a kid or a student, because they already have it. They have it in their face 24/7 already. iPad sales are through the roof. So when they say everyone's got one, almost everyone really does have at least one iPad. I have friends who their 2-year-olds have their own iPads. And as a speech therapist, I've definitely spoken out against that. But they do. I mean, so these students or these children or these clients, whoever we're trying to hand an app to, we have to take into account, my biggest point here is we've got to take into account what they already have in front of their face, what's already being put in front of them. 29% of toddlers use technology. Now, I do not let my toddler use technology, but when he steals my cell phone out of my purse or off the kitchen counter, he picks it up and he starts swiping. So it's not even just that he's allowed to play with it, which he's not. He doesn't have his own apps, etc., but he sees it. He sees his dad and I using it. You know, 1/3 of them use a mobile phone before they can talk. That's my son. He's not talking yet, but he knows how to use it. 70% of children have mastered the devices by the time they get into school. So when we're trying to push apps into school, and we're trying to push, you know, wow factors into school, they've already played it. They've already done it. They've already tried it. They've already seen it. There are specific interventions already being created a lot in the UK, and the youngest one enrolled right now for technology addiction is 4 years old. Mm-hmm. So, the biggest dilemma we have, and this goes two ways here. We can create a game or an app or put one on our iPads to bring in and expose these children to that are entertaining, but it doesn't mean it's engaging. It doesn't mean that they're doing anything with it other than trying it out, playing with it a little bit, setting it aside, and it never leaves that device. It goes the other way. We can have the most educational app out there, but it doesn't mean it's entertaining them or it's actually giving them that thrill that they get from a game that causes that hardcore learning for them that we need. The last successful educational game out there that was truly a blockbuster educational hit was Carmen Sandiego. And that's from when I was a kid. You know, we're having this really hard time bridging that gap now between educational apps, but apps that are actually engaging, that they're wanting to play, that they're striving to play, not that their parents are putting in front of them or their teachers or their therapists or someone's putting in front of them, telling them to play. So that's where gamification is really coming in my therapy. Gamification is me taking the mechanics of whatever their game is that they're addicted to right now and actually bringing it in to solve the problems, to work on whatever their therapeutic goals are. Because here's the biggest deal. There's a ton of speech therapists out there right now creating apps. We got tons of them. One, there's small enterprises. So those apps, I kid you not, are running anywhere from $10 to $150 for us as speech therapists. I own my own private practice. That's not my budget for an app. And also, I put those apps in front of it, and here's the problem. It's very clear that we're working on a deficit for this child in these apps. And you know what? They could care less. They'll do it, they'll sit there, I'll flip through it, but it's about as effective as sitting in front of them with a stack of flashcards. It's not what they're interested in. The biggest dilemma we have is that we walk into a situation with children, whatever the situation is, whether we're putting out an app, whether we're putting out a book, whether we're putting out whatever, and we immediately want them to take what we're handing them. But at no point do we, and this is a huge problem with adults in general, stop and first figure out what the child is interested in. If we can meet them in the middle as to find out what their interests are and find a way to take their interests and mold it into what we need them to work on, we've got buy-in. And that's the hardest thing. If you can get buy-in, you're set. You're golden. But if you don't have that buy-in, you're fighting an uphill battle. And most of the time, it's just your Alamo. You're just ready to die on the hill. The biggest thing that almost all the apps that my students are interested in are these factors right here. This is a great system that I found published online, but they need challenges. They need to have a challenge that's not this never ending. Because for my interventions, my kids, they're in therapy. It's long, deep learning. My kids are going to be in therapy 8, 10, 12 years, probably. And that's an exorbitant amount of challenge. In the executive functioning perspective, my kids don't have a time horizon beyond 2 days, much less this never-ending trail of therapy that they're looking at for the rest of their lives. But if I can give them weekly small challenges that they can complete, that aren't going to drag on forever, I've got their dragon. Then I need win conditions. I need them to see this is what I need to do to win. Because especially for my students, and a lot of children in general, especially when you start getting to debates of Common Core, et cetera, they're a lot of times stuck in lose-lose situations. I have to study to accomplish this. I have to do this to accomplish this. But if I can give them winning conditions, do A, B, and C, and you've won. It's done. They're there. Leaderboards, this is crazy. And I didn't believe this at first, but let me tell you, I literally just, each of my groups is a team. And I'll show you later how I do it, but it's out in the hallway. That's buy-in. And the nice thing about gamification is gamification doesn't work to the advantage of the student or the child. It works to the advantage of the creator. Because you can kind of change the situation. You can change the dynamics. You're in charge when you're employing gamification. And in that instance, I can make it so my leaderboards are only ever about 2 points apart between teams. So it's always manageable. It's always accomplishable, but they've still got that competition and that ability to kind of see that they're holding their own against other students. Badges, social networking, and status. Again, I feel I wrapped a lot of that up into my leaderboards. Most apps that are created with an educational mindset are very similar to a therapy session in that you can probably, if you're really good, accomplish 2 of these. If you really go in the hardcore and you look at it and you're applying it and you're showing it to kids, you can accomplish maybe 2. It can maybe be this really cool, innovative app, and it can be engaging for the student to play, but they're not interactive. It's not coming off the app and becoming active. It's staying just on the app, and it's this really cool app they play, but it's not changing their behavior. It's not changing what they do. You know, it might be changing their behavior and what they do, but might not be something very innovative. It might not be something they want to play. But if they played it, it's actually making changes. I've really found that by bringing gamification into my therapy session, I'm able to accomplish almost all 4 of these in most of my therapy sessions, which has been huge for a lot of my students, just to see them make these huge gains. Going from crying in the parking lot and the parent dragging them into the clinic, kicking and screaming, which is just the scene you want every parent in the waiting room to see, to racing in with something to tell you about the new plan for this week. Because they're engaged, they're active, they're interactive with their peers for the first time in a long time, and I like to think it's innovative. But the biggest other piece is that this is, again, going back to that meeting them in the middle. I can't walk in and throw an app in front of my kids and be like, all right, here's what we're going to do, and this is going to be fun. I have to meet them with where they're at. With any app, and I usually poll my kids as to what apps they like. But also, speaking of leaderboards, if you've ever been to the App Store on your iPad, there's a huge leaderboard right there. That'll tell you what's popular and what's hot right now. So I go through the apps, and I go through a 4-step process on those. And what I do is I first have to identify. I have to identify 2 things. I need to identify what apps my kids like. What apps are hot right now? And even if you're not a speech therapist in my role where you're dealing with kids all week long, I'm sure you have nieces, nephews, grandchildren, children, etc., who can fill you in on what everybody's playing, what everybody likes. If you're not even sure, go to Target and look at the graphic tee section. What are you going to see? You're going to see Angry Birds, you're going to see Minecraft, you're going to see Cut the Rope. It's out there. It's in your face as to what the kids like right now. But I also have to identify who I'm trying to reach. My students, I really try to group them well. But this research by Bartle has been huge for me. And this was done back in the 80s and 90s, and now it's up to like 16 different variations. But I love going back to the 4 core. In every group, every age group, every grouping of children you're trying to meet, you're probably going to have all 4 of these, but you're probably going to have more of one kind than another. But you need to take into consideration all 4 of these when tailoring gamification. And the biggest thing is, like, for example, achiever. You're going to have students who are the achievers. They're the ones who want to get the highest points, get the bonus points, get the, be the first one to the finish. They're the ones who have that win mindset of all that matters is that I win. Could care less about what anybody else is doing. I just got to get there first, and I've got to have the most points, and I got to top the leaderboard. You're going to have the socializer. They're there, they're playing, but they're the ones who want to engage with others. They're the reason Angry Birds has come out with the version of Angry Birds Friends, where you can actually play Angry Birds against other people and your friends, kind of like Words with Friends, but Angry Birds Friends, because it wasn't reaching these socializers. They weren't playing because there was no back and forth competition engagement with other people. You've got the explorer. They're the ones who know where all the Easter eggs are. They're the ones who figured out how to get every bonus point, the loopholes. They're the ones who actually usually don't mind cheat codes if it teaches them where that behind the scenes thing is so that they know it and other people don't. And then you've got the killer, and I know that's not a PC term, but they're the ones who want to win, but not just win, they want to decimate every other player out there. They want to take it over, they want to win, and they want everyone to see them doing it too. And I'll have one group where I'll have all of these, but it's usually not the best group to have. I definitely try to group them more by what kind of a player they are and maybe throw in a wild card. So, I have a couple achievers, and I'll throw in a killer in there because they're all then trying to win. But I can show the killer then a different way of playing that's typically more rewarding. It's going to gain them more friends than the way they're currently playing. The next step I do is experience. Please, and I've seen so many adults and parents do this, don't cheat. Don't pull out an app and be like, yeah, Angry Birds with the red bird and the blue bird. Don't do it. They'll see right through you. You've lost buy-in, game over. The biggest thing I have for my students is whatever game's hot right now, I have got an iPad full of games I could care less about. But I have sat and spent time playing them so I can understand what it is that they like. And that takes me to my next step, which is breaking it down. The reason I play the game, I try to have fun. I try to find my inner child, but I just can't get into some of them. But I need to break it down. Okay, so they love Minecraft. I can't stand Minecraft. All my therapy sessions revolve around Minecraft right now. I can't stand that app. But I needed to get into it and break it down. What are they doing in this app? What's the social engagement look like? What are the activities that they're spending hours in Minecraft? Why is this such a big deal? You know what? I sort of figure out why it was such a big deal to them, especially for my achievers, especially for them. But I had to get in and break it down. And I'll show you some examples of how I broke others down further on. And then I've got to get in touch with my creative side. From there is where I can create. There's where I can create a therapy session. There's where I can create activities. There's where I can, start creating new app ideas to propose to people. Until we get to the point where we figured out what they're liking about the current things, we can't jump in and create. I know so many, I do personally know app creators who are just like, okay, so we want them to learn math. So let's create a game about math. Oh, it should have a robot. Yeah, and we can have asteroids, and we can shoot the asteroids, but they've not stopped and gone through this process to then realize what's making these games popular, and their game has made them $2.50 so far. So some examples of what I've done. As I said, I am not creating apps. I'm creating therapy sessions. So what I'm going to show you is how I take apps, the 4 most popular apps according to my kids right now, and I'll show you those apps as well, and I break it down to things that they can do off the iPad. My biggest challenge to everyone and anyone I speak to is the app is only good if it leaves the iPad. If the iPad gets shut off and set on a desk in the corner, and that's that at the end of the day or when their iPad time is off, and it changes nothing about their behavior or nothing about their thinking, it doesn't matter. It's lost in there with Angry Birds and Minecraft and everything else. My biggest thing, and the biggest thing people struggle with, parents and teachers and therapists, everyone struggle with, is how to get it off the iPad. How to get these activities. So often, therapists, schools are now okaying, iPads for therapists and teachers in the classroom. And so often what I see is one of two things. One, they've got an educational app, and they sit the kid at the table, they put the educational app, and they go, there you go, Johnny, do your math app, and they walk away, and half the time the kid knows how to get out of the app and go over and find something else to do on the iPad anyways. Or they're bored out of their mind, you come over and they're banging their head off a table. Or they go the other route. You did such a good job. You can have 2 minutes with Angry Birds. Here you go. Well, great. They love it. That makes them happy, but they'd be just as happy with a piece of chocolate too, which is all that that's good for. So I've really worked for my kids is taking the 4 most popular apps that they have, breaking them down, figuring out what they like about it, and taking it off the iPad. Because by taking it off the iPad, like I said, I work with kids who have social learning deficits. These kids cannot make friends in school, but they don't qualify for services because they're super smart, they're super high functioning, and they can't figure out the nuances. They can't figure out what the teacher's insinuating. They can't figure out that their peers are irritated with them because they rolled their eyes. Well, they didn't say they were irritated with me. Okay, next week we address body language then, and so I've now been able to take it off, and I can't tell you the differences. Like I said, I've got kids who scream and kick in the parking lot to gladly coming in. Now I recently moved in October from California, where I had a physical private practice where I was doing these things, to we made a move to Colorado, my family and I, and so all my therapy has gone telepractice. So everything's via webcam. So now it's taken a whole new approach for me because I'm very much a gross motor person. I feel students learn best when they're moving. And so I'm the person who, everybody else in the office hated because my kids are screaming and racing up and down the hallway doing different tasks and activities.
Keep going.
Okay, but so I've had to definitely adapt it as I've gone to telepractice, but it's still, I've got that buy-in still. With my physical in-person clinic and my use of gamification to break down apps and create real-world experiences for my kids, I still have the buy-in I need to keep them there. So as I said, the 4 apps that are most popular with all my students right now are Angry Birds, Bad Piggies, Cut the Rope, and Minecraft, of which I enjoy playing one, which is Cut the Rope. But I'm going to start first with Angry Birds, because Angry Birds is what kicked it off for me. I had a student who would not come into the therapy room, would not come into the clinic, would not. And so I had to figure out some way to engage him and get him off his literally flipping chairs in my waiting room situation. And it was his shirt, which had Angry Birds, which I knew about. So got him talking, got him engaging with me, and immediately in that therapy session, it went from all his peers sitting there just staring with their mouths hanging open as the waiting room's being decimated to a fantastic situation, which I believe they were all wearing capes and playing Angry Birds physically, real life in my therapy room. Now, for those of you who don't know Angry Birds, I'll give you an example in a little bit, but there's my SLP goals on the left. That's what I addressed for the language. That's what I've been able to pull out of one app, one 99-cent app for my kids. But there's so many other goals. Like I said, there's physical movement, which is huge, especially in schools right now with our kids. But there's also defeating. There's the concept of defeating. I can take this app and apply to any concept I want. If we're talking about defeating bullies, great. Pull out my Angry Birds games. If we're talking about defeating the negative thoughts in their head and the self-defeater words that they've got in their mindset, boom, I've got Angry Birds. Teamwork, which is huge for my kids, especially when I mistakenly create a whole group of the killer gamers. Teamwork's definitely really hard for them, but it's something I can work on. But it's also a huge piece in the schools right now as they're addressing a lot of the bullying concerns that they're having, is really starting to try and build up this teamwork mindset within the schools. And then a lot of conflict resolution, which again goes back to that bullying and then goes back to my killer mindset gamers that I have in my groups. So for our Angry Birds, it's a simple game in which the story behind it is that a bunch of pigs snuck in and stole some birds' eggs. And now the birds are having a really much too large reaction to it by seeking to destroy everything the pigs own. So it literally starts out, the egg's missing, they don't know where the egg's gone, and they realize that the pigs have stolen it and are planning to cook it and eat it. So you get, as the levels get harder and more difficult, you've got the pigs and all these different houses and structures. And literally, the whole concept of this game is to take a bird, throw it at a building, and destroy a pig. Levels and levels and levels and levels of this. Different kinds of birds, red birds and yellow birds and blue birds and orange birds. And they all do different special things. Yep. And now we've got Star Wars version, in which they can orbit around the Earth. So you've got to get them in the right circular orbit around gravity. And so, I mean, this is amazing. But you've got to take into account now that this is what our students are playing. This is what they love. This is what they're spending hours defeating. If you go on YouTube, there's actually something called gameplay, where you can literally go on, and my students will do this for hours. They'll watch videos, screenshots of other people playing the game. So they can see what their methodology was. They can see how they got 3 stars on that one rather than 2 stars. It's huge. My parents have to lock down YouTube in their homes because they'll find the kids at 2 a.m. watching gameplays of all the games I'm showing you to figure out the best way. Again, my achievers, my explorers, my killers, they need to decimate and have that highest score when they show up at the playground the next day. So, breaking it down now. Clearly we've got clear objects. We've got building materials. We've got a slingshot. We've got birds. We've got pigs. We've got eggs. Easy. But then we've got these themes. And that's where the breaking down is really important. You're looking at different roles in a group, how they're working as a team, building, turn taking. The big thing that's worked for me and my students is that I actually assign them roles, especially when I've got a group of killers or a group of killers and explorers and achievers and they cannot get along. I literally assign them pseudo made up roles. Okay, your job is strictly the red block builder today. So you can build on our structure, but you can only build with the red blocks. You know, your job is the bird collector. Once we finish around, your job is to go around and pick up all the birds and bring them back here. Literally assigning them roles, giving them that place. It works with any app in finding that, what's that role, giving them that place in it. And it also helps them take it off. Because what I do is I literally take this game out of the iPad for them and play. We'll start with just crafts and mindsets, but then we actually start, like I said, with that physical play in my therapy sessions. We literally start where they're literally building together, throwing together, defeating together. They're playing the game in real life. The biggest thing that I have an issue with in the schools, which is probably why I don't work in the schools anymore, is that they don't encourage this creativity. These are my kids thinking outside the box. We got to the point where anything in my therapy room that wasn't attached to a wall had fair chance of becoming a structure in Angry Birds. We just moved and my husband is exasperated. I have crates full of the stuffed Angry Birds, just full of them, all different sizes, all different kinds. They make noise, they sing, you can throw them and chuck them, but they're soft and plush. And I mean, this is within a therapy room. I have gotten to this size before with my students. But what it takes, the skills they have to get to this point, the skills my students have to develop to not only be able to build a structure like this together, to agree as to where all their pigs are going to go, to agree who gets to throw first, and then to not be sitting there, well, somebody else is throwing, and instead be actually encouraging, cheering, carrying on. Those pieces, my students don't know how those rules work. They don't know how it goes. But I had to use this whole gamification technique to break it down. Yes, we're still playing that game, but they know how to play the game on the iPad. You'd be amazed how many kids can play a game on the iPad. And if you were to take the exact same game and move it off the iPad, they can't play it any longer. And that's the biggest problem with apps that are coming out now, is that we're giving these kids these great apps. We're spending tons of money on graphics and sound and theme songs and initial videos. But if our students aren't being taught anymore in schools or encouraging more to have that creativity of now taking what they've successfully played on their iPad and taking it off the iPad in these educational apps. So much of the information, unless it's hardcore math drill, and then you're going to be a hard sell for me that they're actually bought into it like this, you're getting into a situation where they don't know how to do that transference. And that's the biggest thing that we're dropping the ball on in making apps and in therapy and in school, is teach these kids how to move beyond what's just been handed to them. And the biggest thing that I'm running into with therapists and interns I'm getting and stuff is that they don't know how to do it either. They don't know, we're thinking, well, we're making this app for kids, but their teachers and their parents, they'll be able to, then move this skill like into the home and they'll be using it. They're not. And that's the biggest problem for our success rates in anything we're doing, whether it's my therapy, whether it's apps we're creating to educate them on things, is that we don't have that carryover for them. Okay, attached and made by the exact same people, I'm sure you're shocked, as Angry Birds is Bad Piggies. Now the concept is Bad Piggies is actually complete role reversal. You are now helping the piggies get to the eggs. And you're doing this by building and by creating and getting them, making them contraptions. So with Bad Piggies, you know, I thought this was absolutely ridiculous when I heard it, but oh my gosh, the therapy that came out of this one, you know, we worked on innovation, which is a huge deficit in all facets, I feel, right now in life. Teamwork, competition, setting goals. I was amazed how many of my students couldn't even set a goal for themselves in something as simple as a game, much less in school and in their therapy, etc. So, I'm going to play round one for you on this because that's about the only one I can accomplish on this game. Let's see. So again, if you remember that cycle I told you, you know, they've got that challenge. They've got what it needs, that winning set up for them. They just have to accomplish there. So you're given these gray boxes and a set of tools underneath. And literally, you need to build them a way to get down to the egg or to the food or to whatever they're trying to accomplish, whatever the goal is for that. I won the round. Yay. But as you can see, even in these, they can earn 3 stars, 2 stars, or 1 stars based on how many attempts it takes them, how many mistakes they make, how if they're able to not only get that, but accomplish some other things. So it appeals to all sides for my students, which is I think why so many of them are such a huge fan of them. Again, very similar to Angry Birds, you know, but this one involves experimenting. Now, experimenting is huge. Experimenting is huge to teach our students nowadays just because they're not doing it. And we need more of that in the world, in the workplace, in the medical fields, et cetera. We need people who are willing to take that risk, try something, and try a new idea, which is something it really works for my kids on this one, because they can make a whole cart and they can try something new. They can put the propeller on the back or the wheel on the top, et cetera, et cetera. And they get given problems where they need the wheel on the top because they're going to hit the propeller, it's going to flip over, and then it needs to roll down. There's a lot of problem solving here, which is a really important skill for my students to start honing. And they're not going to take that risk in their classroom because there's shame involved in that. They're not going to take it at home because a lot of times there's shame involved there too. For mess-ups to mix-ups to oopses. But they'll try it in a video game. They'll brainstorm and try and solve a problem there. This is one where I have, like I said, done leaderboards. Something as simple as this on the hallway with their team names, and trust me, I literally had team names that took like the whole length. The Bad Piggy, Green Bird, Yellow Diver team. There's some of them, but they could see it. They could put their stars up there. They had that sense of accomplishment, not only of that competition, but hey, look what I did. And that's what's important for so many of our kids with those leaderboards, is that they need somewhere where they can say, look, I did it. You know, and what I liked about this is I took it from that team approach. So it was even in, look what we did for my kids with those social cognition deficits. You'd be amazed what I can get my kids to write if it's about a topic that they're interested in. When we get our kids passionate about something, I've got plenty of kids who I've needed to write, and we've had to write, and it's just something they have to work on. They have to work on the language and writing. And I can spend 20 minutes of my 40-minute session just trying to get them to hold the pencil and put it to the paper. But if I'm willing to meet them in the middle, if I'm willing to see what they're interested in and then take it and meet them in the middle, that's fine. You want to talk about Bad Piggies nonstop to me for the entire 40 minutes? I'll let you if you're writing it down on a piece of paper at the same time. But so often we're coming at it from this adult perspective, which is the reason why I really believe Carmen Sandiego was the last successful one, is so many parents got involved and teachers got involved and, you know, so many minds got involved, but we stopped checking in to see what the kids liked. What do the kids want? And then really experimenting, really testing, really make things work. My students made all of these. Not easy. Not easy tasks at all, especially when you take into consideration that it's very common statistically for my kids to have fine motor difficulties. to have motor planning difficulties, to have executive functioning difficulties, to even remember to bring all the supplies each week to actually make these. But I hit so many goals, but they're actually creating. Where are these kids who are learning to create now, learning to experiment and try, going to be in 10 years when they're graduating high school? Are they the ones who are going to try out for the different science and innovation teams? Are they the ones who are going to be willing to head for those jobs that encourage them to think outside the box? We're setting them up then, if we give them these situations to then take what's on the app and take it out, show them how to get it outside the app. Are we not setting them up then for down the road to be the ones who can think out of the box, to realize it's okay to think out of the box? How many adults are sitting around there when they try something and it fails going, well, now we know we can't put the balloon that way. What can we try next time? You know, and the kids are going to be daring. They're going to try it in apps. That's a huge potential we have in app development right there. It's give them the chance to experiment, think outside the box, and screw up without being ashamed for it. Cut the rope, the one game out of these 4 that I actually play, which is this one, a small monster is delivered on your doorstep. And you have to feed him candy, which kids love that concept. Again, you'll see a common theme going through all these, that problem solving, that innovation. This involves a lot of problem solving. I'm like currently stuck like halfway through like the 2nd level and I'm done. But my kids are really good at this game. Wrong one. And the reason being is that, again, they can try things again and again. They can try the same level again and again, and the level's exactly the same. And they get to test the procedures again and again until they figure out the right income. How much in life gives you that opportunity? Where you screwed up and it's over, it's done, you screwed up. Oh well, you know, you broke your new Christmas toy. Stinks to be you, sorry. You know, whereas this lets them do it again and again and problem solve it and figure it out and work on it until they get it. Again, you're getting like the first level of the first one. But again, a monster inside a box shows up on your doorstep and you gotta feed him with candy. And like the first one clearly tells you how to do it, but you literally, hooray, won that round. But it gets more and more complicated as time goes on. Let me show you a much harder level that I will probably completely bomb. Okay, so now you've got whole new contraptions where you have to slide it back and forth and it's going to swing up and oh, now you landed in the bubbles, so now it's going to float to the top and there's whole different levels of what it is. My kids love these. They love figuring these out because they like the predictability of knowing I'm going to go in, it's going to be the same thing, I can try it again and again. I honestly believe for my kids who are science inclined, I'm setting them up for the sciences here, that they can test a procedure again and again, that they can see that this is their strength, that they're willing to play the same round 236 times till they pass it. That's what we need. We talk about diversity in the workplace, diversity, you know, in the schools, but very rarely do we talk about neurodiversity. You know, my kids may struggle socially. My kids may struggle organized. I mean, I swear, they're the ones you open the backpack and you swear the pet hamster's going to jump out at you. It's that much of like pure chaos in there. But they're the ones who can test things again and again and again and figure out what works for us. I mean, clearly we've got mazes and problems. Om-Nom is the name of our little monster. Routes to take, but the strategy that this takes, the figuring out the levels, the problem solving each one. I've got kids who are into this game, and guess what they've now started doing in school? They've joined the Rube Goldberg team. They've stepped out there, and they're trying different things because they know, I know how to problem solve. That's something I'm good at. And we've done it even much simpler for my younger kids in doing different things. But it's getting them to do that problem solving, to test it, to stick themselves out there and figure out these problems, which is what these apps are giving. So many apps out there have that. They have a problem that you have to solve. But again, it's getting it then off the iPad. It's giving the opportunity to actually now try and apply whatever it is we're trying to teach them. And as I said, I'm a huge gross motor person. So I have set it up for wherever, you know, we've had science classes, you know, where they need to understand and track the way an infection moves through their body. let's say, for some of my kids, and they're just like, I don't get it, I don't understand, and we're working on reading comprehension, et cetera, we'll set up the process, the main processes around the room. Great. Now you've got to pick out a path. Here's a bunch of carpet squares, and here's, our tightrope that we can lay on the ground. Which process do we need to go through this? How do we need to move through this whole thing? It's seeing what students need to be able to make that connection. I'm having students go from D's and F's to A's because they're making that visual connection because we're approaching from different directions. They've got the app that the school's given them and they've got the homework assignment, but it's getting them to find new ways to figure it out. Again, giving them that experimental abilities. And the very last one, and the one I just can't stand. I have no spatial abilities whatsoever. Minecraft. If you've not heard of Minecraft, you've clearly not walked near a toy aisle or a shirt aisle in Target or Walmart or anywhere. But this is a huge one for executive functioning. This is huge. My kids can't figure out space. They don't see organization in space. They'd walk in this room and they'd see pure chaos. They'd have no idea that they were meant to sit down in the middle of the room. They have no idea that there was food in one section and the speaker in one section. They'd be the ones standing up here. They had no idea to be able to figure it out. But this one's been really big for them and one I'm having to learn fast because apparently this is what we're doing for summer camp. I'm not going to demonstrate this one because, as I said, I'm not very good at it. You're literally put into a world and you can build. You're given blocks and you can build to your heart's content. Why do my students like this? Because if you go on Google Image right now and put Minecraft buildings, people have spent the time and energy to build the Taj Mahal out of blocks, to build monuments from around the world, the Sphinx out of blocks on these games. And they can go to each other's servers and they can explore these. Again, these are the same kids who are amazing at Legos and have Lego collections that make you stop in your tracks and start doing the math in your head as to how much all those Legos cost. But there's two versions of it. There's the build version and then there's the competition version. So another reason that this really reaches out to my students, because it hits all areas of those 4 player types. I've got the explorers who just want to go in and they just want to build and they want to figure out the cheat codes of how to build even faster and get all the supplies they need and et cetera. In build mode, you get as many supplies as you need and you can build your heart's content. My achievers and my killer players, they're the ones who go in here and they play in competition mode, in which you have mobs, you have creepers, and you have wither bosses, and you have all these different creatures that you have to figure out how to destroy. And you can work with other players to destroy them, or you can just do it on your own if you're playing by yourself. But it gives them all a chance to play together. It gives them all a chance to kind of use their skills to the best of their abilities, and it speaks a lot to a lot of their hearts. Again, a lot of building, a lot of problem solving, planning, teamwork, bartering, which is a huge one for my students. I actually have to figure out how to get it. I don't know if anybody here has been exposed to the lovely craze of rainbow looms, but it's a bunch of little tiny rubber bands, itty bitty, easy to lose ones, and it's a big plastic loom. Think about the old looms we used to have where you'd make a hat or make a scarf on it, except these you make out of little plastic rubber bands, bracelets and creatures, et cetera, et cetera. This is huge for my students to be able to follow the directions, watch the videos, et cetera, and create these. Same with, anybody remember the little tiny plastic perler beads that you put on those little trays and then you iron them and melt them down? Minecraft is a world of pixelated graphics. I mean, take graphics back 15 years and you're in Minecraft, which just goes to show you that it's not a matter of how great the graphics are. It's a matter of the gameplay. How is the game played? And then, that was almost pretty much a lot of the motivation of Minecraft is we can create this great game, and they had no idea it was going to take off from what I understand. But it's just a bunch of pixelated blocks like I used to play with when I was a teenager. But now we're getting all these huge activities, all these connections off of it, and I'm a huge fan of cooking. My biggest point is we have to meet our students where they're at, what they're interested in. If we want to make successful interventions, if we want to make successful apps, gamification works both ways in breaking down the apps as well as taking the breakdown of what they love. Rainbow Loom. How can I build that up and build that into something else? But it's also just breaking down if the biggest app sellers right now are Minecraft, are Angry Birds, etc. What about those apps? It's not a matter of making a copycat app. It's doing that breakdown mode of figuring out what is it about that app that makes them so passionate about it, that makes them so into it. And if we could take that and then create from that place of meeting them in the middle, of talking to kids. How many panels and advisory panels do we have that are a bunch of adults sitting around the table? But yet we're not making an app for adults. It's fine, it's speaking to kids, it's talking to kids. I mean, a lot of people are like, well, yeah, they're kids, yeah, but they know what they like. You know, I wouldn't exactly take them, advise me on my financial side of my business. But I went to them and said, okay, you know, I've got these goals that we need to address, but what do you want to do? What do you like? And they're going to be a huge piece of that, breaking down for you to start that creative process in both directions, no matter what your goal is. And this is what my summer camp's looking like this year, is we're literally physically building with all my moving boxes. But again, it's taking that 4-step process, that identifying what's popular right now. What do they like? What's big out there? It's experiencing it. Don't fake it. Just try it. If at least you try it once, then you can go over to YouTube and fake it to your heart's content and watch a bunch of gameplay videos. Then it's breaking it down and then creating from there. And that's all. That's what I've got.
Any questions? Anything's game. Tara's tough.
We ask that you stand at the microphone to
Yeah.
ask your questions.
Oh, okay, two things.
Okay.
One observation.
Yep.
At the beginning of your presentation, you had given the analogy and talked about you've given the data about the number of cell phones for young people, and you were talking about your students, and you had described them as social cognition deficits. I wonder, is there a correlation between the two? Could there be the fact that the proliferation of all of these devices could be a causative effect of what is perceived to be an increasing number of children with these social deficits?
We actually had this discussion at lunch today, in which we talked about, I don't know if it's cause and effect, but I find that I am able to identify students. We call them, very lovingly, the parking lot kids. I can see them from a distance that there's someone who would definitely be on my caseload. And they're the ones that are drawn to that and given more of that and given less of the direct teaching. If you think, what are we exposing our kids to today, even as parents? Are we, we had this discussion earlier, are we sitting at the dinner table checking our phones? Or are we having conversations? We lovingly term them also apple trees in my house, which is apples don't fall far from the tree, which is when we talk to a parent, we're like, oh, we're as a parent struggling as well with executive functioning or with social interactions with others. And as a parent, is that you're that first line of exposure for these students, and if we're not being that great role model for the kids, and I feel like today's society, we're really feeding into that, which is why I have an iPad, I use it in therapy, but that's why I'm so passionate about taking things off the iPad, because it's not going anywhere. It's feeding into my kids sitting in corners, playing on their iPads, not interacting with other students, but it's also feeding into this lack of motivation to interact with other students on top of it, and not having that motivation, getting all that stimulus. I'm sorry, Angry Birds can be a whole lot more stimulating than the trucks in the sandbox. I feel technology plays a really important part. I mean, I specialize it in my speech field, but I feel that there is too early to expose kids to it, and my biggest thing is that the kids are being exposed, though. Regardless of what my stance is on it, regardless of where I stand, I'm like, no, your 2-year-old should not have their own iPad. Sorry, it's not my kid. I can't change that. So now it's my job, as my caseload grows with these students with executive functioning delays and social cognitive struggles, to meet them where they're at. These kids are coming in having blown way past me on Angry Birds at 4 years old. And so how am I going to meet them there in that place? Because it is society, and their life is tech, more so than my life was. And I felt like I grew up with the tech revolution, and these kids have blown past me already.
Okay, so I get it. The bottom line is behavior change. But what I hear you saying is that you're starting with the app, and then you're deconstructing it, taking it off of the app and making it real life for them. What about the resort? And you used a couple of premises in doing that, talking about the win conditions, challenges, and so forth. Oh, sorry, you had presented various win conditions. Okay. So is the reverse true? Wanting to affect behavior change by creating an app. So you're suggesting, if I'm hearing you right, that the premise is the same whether you're taking it off the app or you're building
putting it
an
on.
app. You've got to figure out who the audience is, what the objectives are.
Absolutely.
Deciding on what the win conditions are. Is the premise that there are always the same set of win conditions, whether you're deconstructing or building?
I wouldn't say yes, but I would say no at the same time. I mean, I think the biggest piece is if you think about it, when we pull kids into the school year and they've started 3rd grade, does the teacher stand at the front and go, by the end of 3rd grade, you'll have won 3rd grade if you're able to do this kind of math and do this kind of writing and do this? No. So kids go the whole year going to school and they can tell you what they did that day, but 90% of them have no idea what the win condition is for school. The biggest piece then for the other than like a grade, which tells them whether they're good or bad, but do they really know the whole win condition of that? The same thing is true for an app. It's not necessarily the same number, the same kind of win conditions, but it's that they know at Angry Birds what it means to win. Every level is harder, it's difficult, more difficult, it's different. You get the same thing whether you're playing Angry Birds Star Wars, Angry Birds Holidays, whatever version of Angry Birds is, it's still the same win conditions. If I destroy this, I've won. It gets harder, different birds, we add different complexity, different types of puzzles, but I know what it means to win. And that's the biggest part when taking down or building up is that the kids know what it is to win. When I deconstruct Angry Birds, you will have won, not just if you, when it's your turn, you destroy the building that we've spent 30 minutes building because we couldn't agree on. You'll also have won if while you were waiting, you were cheering as well. You will win, and they've got their win scenarios up on the board, so they know in order to win, in order for our team to earn the star on the chart out in Miss Tara's hallway, here's what my win conditions are. The biggest point is not necessarily the number or the same kind, it's that it's clearly defined for them, and they know at each point what I need to do to win.
One last thing and then I'll leave. The premise is not linked to age. We can assume that the premise applies irrespective of the age group. Okay.
If you're going to play World of Warcraft, you still know what your win condition is, whether you're going on a raid or anything else as a high schooler versus playing Angry Birds as one of my 3rd graders.
Okay, thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
I have 2 questions.
Okay.
First question is, how are you pulling in the kids' community, like their parents, their teachers, into this 4-step process? Like, where do they fit in?
You know, the biggest thing is I have at the end of all my sessions what we call parent chat, which is where at the end of every session I have an hour session, so I'd have 45 minutes with my students, and then I have 15 minutes with the parents. And that's my time to really brainstorm it and work on application. So even if we're just playing with Angry Birds, you know, the biggest piece for me is not that they're able to build a tower and defeat it by throwing down a stuffed animal at it. You know, are they cheering on other people? Are they sharing ideas in an expected way? Are they, you know, critiquing in an expected or unexpected way? Those pieces. And then it is rolling out that application to the parents then. You know, a lot of times parents will observe my sessions, or they will, you know, or I'll give them a video afterwards of one of the rounds. We'll sit there and watch the round, and they'll really be able to see where I broke down, like, hey, here's what this is. Here's why we did this. Here's why Johnny's whole role was the bird collector, because he can't right now handle being a builder, because he wants to build it just his way, et cetera, pulling that in. And then I really empower my parents to be that liaison between me and the schools. And that's at that younger level. At that older level, I'm a big person who believes that schools totally need to roll back in life skills and community outings and things like that. So I take my students, if we're gonna do like that cooking process, we're gonna make Minecraft cookies, they've gotta make the shopping list. And they gotta figure out the materials we need. And our next session, we're not gonna be cooking, our next session is going up the street to the grocery store and going through that process of expectedly explaining to somebody what you need when you can't find it, things like that. So it's really based on kind of age and ability, but it really is a matter of just kind of that open communication a lot with the parents as to what they're struggling with for me, and then doing a lot of things like this, speaking at conventions and pieces with teachers and other speech therapists and stuff, and really getting this way of doing therapy out there so that they get off the iPad and do start giving these kids more empowering work with the parents and
Yeah.
outside community.
It seems like to get them off, they have to have that support around them to
Absolutely.
make it be successful.
Yeah.
Second question, what other disorders or intervention types have you seen games used in outside of your SLP world?
A lot, actually. A lot. I mean, I've seen, the biggest problem is I've seen apps used for a lot of different disorders. Gamification in this way, I'm not seeing used yet, which is breaking my heart right now. But, you know, a lot in the speech world, it's going with apps that are made by speech therapists to address the speech concerns. I'm seeing the same thing in math, et cetera, et cetera. You know, and even when we're getting to our much more lower functioning individuals who are maybe more wheelchair bound, nonverbal, et cetera, I'm not seeing gamification. I'm seeing apps used, and like I said earlier, games used as rewards. But, you know, I'm seeing it starting to even try working with it. You know, I've seen some of it when working with vets, that they're starting to try and work on even just that social engagement and things like Angry Birds Friends or things where they're kind of getting that interaction outside of the hospitals where they're recouping. I've also seen it in cancer wards. They have an app that they put out for children battling cancer. And because they were having a hard time with kids filling out their pain journals, and the doctors need that because kids are really unreliable in remembering things long term as to how their pain was over the day in order to manage it. And so they actually created a whole app that involves a police force. And your job is to help the police force, and you earn levels and you become a captain, et cetera, in defeating pain by filling in your journal regularly on there. And that's how you earn points, things like that. So I'm seeing it growing more in like the medical settings of them trying to change things more than I'm seeing it, you know, with my population or speech therapy in general, kind of that wider education, school placements.
Right. Awesome. Well, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other questions? No? You guys are at UC
Then I have one. In what you just said, it seemed like you were drawing a distinction between gamification and apps.
Yep.
Can you speak on that for a minute?
Absolutely. Apps is something a lot of people love to use. They love to Google an app, especially for a specific need. You know, they'll use, you know, we've got a whole series, and trust me, I'm friends with the lady who developed them. I love them, but it's put out by Smarty Ears Apps. And the whole app is all about working on your artic, or working on your language, or working on your describing. You know, so I see a lot of SLPs who will just download that app. And it's the same thing for teachers in schools. They'll download the app for the science level their kids are at. They'll download the app for that. And that's one side of the coin, which is not gamification. You know, that is strictly an animated textbook a lot of the times, or an animated, you know, the video series sometimes they'd put on when we were in school, you know, it'd be video day and we get to watch the science video. It works very similarly in the kids' brains because they're not earning levels, they're not getting that gamification intrinsic reward that we're trying to create in them. And then I see the other side of it, where they'll use things like Angry Birds, or they'll use things like cut the rope, et cetera, as a reward. So they're trying to build that intrinsic reward, like, you did a good job, so now you get to play. I'm setting the timer, here's your 5 minutes. That's another way of using apps, but again, not gamification. Gamification, going back to my description earlier, is that taking the game components out of a game that kids are already finding rewarding. It's meeting those kids in the middle. They're into A, B, C. It's finding, okay, you're into A, B, and C. Okay, now I'm going to use gamification. I'm going to tear it apart. I'm going to find out what are the win situations, what are the challenges, what are the rewards you get from this, and then I'm going to take it and I'm going to apply it to what you need to learn. I'm going to apply it to our science lesson. You know, we're going to have a huge Jeopardy game show today, you know, and, you know, you're going to earn points, and based on points, et cetera, et cetera. You know, it's breaking it out and setting it up in a situation where we are getting off the iPad and then using gamification. So often I see adults and professionals use the app. And the app will fix all, and the app seems, that's the same as flashcards, that's the same as a textbook, that's the same as everything else if it's not changing their motivation towards that learning and their understanding of that learning, and they're changing those changes in that behavior for them.
That's good, thank you.
Sure.
Well, listen, thank you, Tara. This was great. Very much appreciate it. And she's going to be here a few more minutes. talk with her about your individual project. I know we have a couple of gamers here ourselves. So. And there are refreshments in back. May 15th, we'll have a Google Hangout on global accessibility and social media. Thank you, Tracy. And a big round of applause for Casey Rutland, for James Bethia, Tracy Poole also for helping pull this together. And Tara, thank you so much. This was really, really helpful.
Absolutely.
Really good to see it from the other direction. Thank you.